Hello everybody, Cody here. I'm so excited we've arrived at the second ever Divine Creators podcast. I'm so excited about this because we're going to be doing something a little bit different. If you've read the title, you probably know it's going to be a little bit different than the first podcast. And I'm excited about this for a couple of reasons. One, these podcasts I would like to be spontaneous in nature. And although there is, of course, a structural element to it, I know that these podcasts are going to thrive when I do them in a way that feel authentic to me, and when I talk about topics that really make me feel passionate. So this is a really great opportunity, I think, for me to go down the route of doing more channelings, because the thing about doing channelings on video is there's just a lot more preparation involved, and you really can't anticipate when you will receive a download, and if you're in a place to receive that download or convey that frequency in a channeling. So this way allows me to sort of pick up this microphone and record a podcast at my own free will, especially when there's something important that I want to talk about. Now, I'm going to get into this as soon as I can, but I just want to say, first of all, thank you guys for all of the support. You've given me such great feedback, and I'm just looking forward to putting all of that into this effort. Thank you so much for supporting this new endeavor as well. There's going to be some really great stuff in here, and and if you can find this podcast, because it is a podcast, I think there will be a lot of hidden gems here. So let me know what you guys think of this podcast, this episode too. So this episode, for those of you who have found me on YouTube, or if you found me on the Divine Creators group, or within the New Age community, you're particularly going to like this podcast, I think, because what we're going to be doing is a live channeling with one of my spirit guides. His name is Rhoda. He is an 11th dimensional Lyran, and he's going to be channeling this really, really important question for those of us who are in the spiritual community, who are in the psychology community, who are in the medical community. This is a really, really crucial thing that I believe is going to be something that's going to be recognized a lot more in the coming decades. So I'm already picking up on a lot of the message that's going to be coming through, so I'm just going to continue to do a bit of an intro here, just so that you guys know what this channel is going to be about. So first of all, you guys should understand that Rhoda is representing a frequency, and as a channel, what I'm doing is tapping into that frequency and conveying that frequency to you as clearly as possible. So what you're essentially doing is just interpreting energy, and this energy is representing the frequency of the message that will be conveyed. So just getting into the question now, I just want to say this question was asked by a friend of mine actually earlier today. This question was prompted by them, and I just received so much information that I thought, this has to be in a podcast. We have to channel this in the podcast. This is so important. So the question is the relationship between bipolar disorder and lithium. Now, lithium is something in the medical community that's being used to treat bipolar disorder. So I have Rhoda here with me. I'm going to be splitting my consciousness so that I'm able to interpret what he's saying while maintaining this conversation with you guys, okay? So this is a live channeling. Okay, so immediately he's showing me that lithium is actually contributing to bipolar disorder. So we have to understand first the chemical imbalance theory. This is severely misguided. This is exactly what it says. It is a theory. It is not fact. It's based on this idea that people are just wired the way that they are. If they are if they have an inclination towards anxiety or depression without any quote-unquote causal factors, that there's a chemical imbalance. Now, the thing that's off here is the implication that there are no outside factors involved in creating a chemical imbalance within your biology. There is always, always, always outside factors involved in any sort of manipulation of your biology in this way, okay? So we're talking lithium here. So lithium is a toxic heavy metal. This is the highlight of this message, okay? Toxic heavy metals. Consuming toxic heavy metals, what that does is it disrupts this. With the way he's showing me is it's disrupting a pathway of electrical impulse. So what happens is these heavy metals get stuck within these pathways and begin to oxidize. And when they are oxidized, they almost become these barriers and these things that short circuit these electrical impulses. Now, these electrical impulses, you can say, are what communicates to your brain and or what communicates from your brain to your impulses. So things like your thoughts, things like psychic information, things like intuition. The reason this person asked this question is they wanted to know if lithium affects or compensates your psychic ability, and if it can sort of dull our intuition and our ability to connect. The answer to that is yes, unfortunately. These toxic heavy metals will oxidize within these pathways, the way he's showing me. And when the information is coming through those pathways, they are meeting these heavy metals which have oxidized within those neural pathways and short-circuiting them. So when they're short-circuited, it's damaging your brain cells. Once these metals oxidize, it damages your brain cells. And he's showing me as well that when you have a trigger or a severe emotional response, either positive or negative, this is what triggers a lot of that bipolar disorder. So those people who have a lot of toxic heavy metals in their system based on their diets or based on genetics as well will have more of a susceptibility to bipolar disorder. So this is really, really, really crucial to understand, because in the medical community, they're not speaking enough to this, but they speak about this chemical imbalance theory as if it is absolute fact, when they don't know that much about it at all. They're kind of pretending, honestly, that they know more, but they don't know more. And this sort of thing, Rhoda is indicating to me that is going to be released and understood and researched a lot more in the future. About 40 to 50 years, I would say this is going to be coming out a lot more. So some of the things that he says you can do to reverse this, which is important. It is possible to detox from these heavy metals, but it is so important to your diet. Now, what we do understand, not enough, but we understand that the relationship between what we eat and how we feel is synonymous. It is so important to nourish your body and to not consume extremely fatty foods, which would also contain a lot of toxic heavy metals. However, you're being poisoned in a lot of the different foods that you're eating, that there may not even be aware contains a lot of these toxic heavy metals, or for sure you may not be aware of that. So just think about that for a minute. Think about all the times that you are trying to connect and you are not able to clearly channel through that information. A lot of what's happening there is a result of our bodies, our biology, about what we're consuming, on top of course, our ability to connect naturally with our energy. Our energy is so interwoven with what we consume as well. So some of the things that he's telling me now that we can consume that will help with detoxing from these heavy metals, clearing our channel, and and accessing information, not only etheric information from our spirit guides, connecting to these beings that will help guide us in our life, spirit guides, but also your own thoughts. So if you remember, Rhoda was indicating that lithium, which is treating bipolar disorder, is actually damaging brain cells. So these toxic heavy metals actually damage brain cells. So you can assume that it's also severely affecting your intellect, your intelligence. I can't tell you guys how disturbing this was to channel once I received it, because to know how many people suffer from bipolar disorder or any other quote-unquote chemical imbalances, and to know that they are not treating this in the right way, and it's actually contributing in so many ways to exactly what they're trying to avoid, it's just so heartbreaking, especially someone who is a practitioner and in this field and working with people like this. It's just so heartbreaking. So some of the things Rhoda is telling me immediately to consume, for those of you guys, if you would like to detox from this. Now, it's important to know that not every single person with toxic heavy metals in their system has bipolar disorder, but just know that it will lend to heightened distress responses, more so than usual, if you have these in your bodies, because of that oxidation of within those pathways. Cilantro is great. Any sort of electrolyte, so coconut water, that would be great. Electrolytes would be really, really great for detoxing these heavy metals. Celery juicing, by the way, I've actually heard a lot about this recently. This is something that I've actually known about for a good enough time. It's really now only becoming popular, but celery juice is really, really good for detoxing. Lots of greens. He's showing me spirulina. Barley grass is great. Berries, he's showing me blueberries. Fresh blueberries, wild blueberries are even better. And there are supplements that you can take as well, but understand that there are supplements that are not doing much good at all. You want to find the right supplements. I'll see if I could do some research after and find any reputable organic supplements that can help with this detoxing process. But the main thing I want you guys to take away from this is that it is possible to detox from these heavy metals. And you know what I would love to hear from you guys too, I'll definitely update you guys too on this, because I'm going to be changing a lot of my diet, which is already very clean in general. I'm going to be doing a lot more of this detox myself, and I would love to hear from you guys too, if you guys do this detox of these heavy metals, if it's affecting your mood levels at all. I would so love to know. This is a really, really important and crucial piece of information that I want more people to understand. So I'm thinking of writing something about this just so that more people can access this information. I think it's really, really important to do that for sure. So thank you guys for listening. That was this question. That was the channeling for today. We're going to be doing a lot more of these podcasts to come, maybe even more within 1 week, if they're as spontaneous like this. Again, we're going to keep it not specifically structured or scheduled, but we're going to be doing it consistently enough where you can count on a new podcast every so often. We'll still be doing videos as well on YouTube, and you can find me on the Divine Creators with Cody group on Facebook as well. So just a reminder, you guys, please subscribe to the Spotify link for Divine Creators with Cody. That's where you'll be notified when you receive new podcasts. It will be download it onto your phone immediately through the app, so you can listen there when you get a chance. You can also listen to this on YouTube as well. And there are a couple other platforms as well that I will list when I post this. Thank you guys so much, and I'm really curious to what you guys have to say. If you guys have any experiences with the psychiatry community, the psychology community, or with psychiatrists who have either diagnosed you with some sort of chemical imbalance or depression or bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, this is really, really great information for those of you who are suffering from any sort of anxiety disorder. Please know that you can reverse a lot of this through your diet, but it's also a story of, confronting those feelings within you and dealing with the circumstance or the storylines behind those pains, because there needs to be a resolution within your being, and that's how you can resolve those energies, okay? Because those energies will still remain dormant in your body until they're activated, unless they're resolved, unless they're retrieved, unless they're processed emotionally. So although these toxic heavy metals are making your experience of these emotional experiences more intense, especially in a negative way, what I want to say is it's only highlighting what's already there, and you can almost use that as a tool to identify your specific pains, your specific shadows. We talked a lot about shadow work in the last episode. You can use those triggers or those emotional responses as gateways to understand yourself a little bit more and heal and process those energies within you, so that there will be not as much a trigger through your diet as well. But again, biology, your diet is so important as well. So keep in mind, it is a combination of a lot of different things that will help us. But this episode particularly, we're talking about nutrition. We're talking about bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, chemical imbalances, and its relationship with what we consume. So thank you guys. This is the second ever podcast, and we're going to be doing a lot more of these in the future. Peace and love to all you guys, and I'll be posting this in the Divine Creators with Cody group as well as on YouTube. If it's not up tonight, it'll be up Sunday morning. Peace and love to all of you guys, and thank you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.